Welcome to our project development program. Um, we'll be looking at the course titled Monitoring and Evaluation, Lecture 1. Our learning outcomes are: know what monitoring and evaluation is and entails, know the role and impact of monitoring in project development, develop skills in decision making in monitoring and design of monitoring system, master the tools employed in project monitoring and evaluation. Our course outline is a brief introduction to monitoring and evaluation, definition of project design concept, knowing the role and impact of monitoring in project development, decision making in monitoring and design of monitoring system, characteristics of an excellent monitoring system, tools for monitoring, then summary. Introduction. Many third world countries have numerous projects in an attempt to improve their infrastructure, and this improves the standards of living of its citizens. Huge sums of money are put into this activity, and it is important to get value for money. Two aspects that would contribute towards ensuring this and monitoring are evaluation. Unfortunately, many project owners and managers do not recognize the need and usefulness of these two. This module sets out the role of both monitoring and evaluation in successful implementation of projects and how these can be applied. It highlights the common constraints and ways in which these constraints can be overcome. Monitoring and evaluation definition. Although monitoring and evaluation are viewed as related, they are distinct functions. Monitoring is viewed as a process that provides information and ensures the use of such information by management to assess project effects, both intentional and unintentional, and their impact. And it aims at determining whether or not the intended objectives have been met. Evaluation draws on the data generated by the monitoring system as a way of analyzing the trends in effects and impact of the project. In some cases, it should be noted that monitoring data might reveal significant departure from the project expectation, which may warrant the undertaking of an evaluation to examine the assumptions and premises on which the project design is based. Definition of project design concept. In an attempt to address this, it is necessary to have a common understanding of project design concept upon which to build an understanding of project monitoring and evaluation. A project is an attempt using specific input to create a better situation for the beneficiaries. It should also be emphasized that projects are designed based on a linked set of hypotheses and assumptions, and that therefore there are by nature somewhat risky ventures in that their particular approach may not have been tried before. Turning to project design process, to emphasize the links between the different levels of the project design, one needs to take a quick test to ensure that the concept of project input, output, effects, and impacts are shared by all. Based on the identification of four levels in a project, project monitoring can be defined as the process of gathering information to compare the actual use of project input and completed output with the planned use of input and completed output. Project evaluation can be defined as the process of gathering information to assess the effects and impact of a project. Roles of monitoring. Monitoring is the continuous assessment of a program or project. in relation to the agreed implementation schedule. It is also a good management tool which should, if used properly, provide continuous feedback on the project implementation as assist as well as in the identification of potential successes and constraints to facilitate timely decisions. Unfortunately, in many projects, the role of this is barely understood and therefore negatively impact on the project. Monitoring is not only concerned with the transformation of input into output but can also take the following forms: physical and financial monitoring, process monitoring. Physical and financial monitoring talks on measuring progress of project or program activities against established schedule and indicators of success. Process monitoring. It identifies factors accounting for progress of activities or success of output production. Impact monitoring. This refers to measuring the initial responses and reactions to project activities and their immediate short-term effects. Projects are monitored so as to assess the stakeholders' understanding of the project, minimize the risk of project failure, promote systematic and professional management, and assess progress in implementation. One needs to recognize the role played by the various stakeholders in monitoring. These players include the financiers, implementing agencies, project teams, interested groups such as churches, environmentalists, etc. It should further be recognized that to be an effective management tool, monitoring should be regular but should take into account the risks inherent in the project and its implementation. In many developing countries, one tends to find the following aspects in monitoring and evaluation of projects. There is a dominant use of external consultants in monitoring and evaluation. There is a dominant use of donor procedures and guidelines in monitoring. Sustainability is often not taken into account. Monitoring is sometimes used to justify past actions. Consent of stakeholders are not normally included. Lessons learned are not incorporated. If one looks at this, it is clear that there is need to revisit this for sustainability. Decision making in monitoring and design of project monitoring system. For a start, one needs to re-identify the purposes of a project monitoring system. It should be emphasized that whereas a project monitoring system is a process of comparing actual use of input and completed output with planned use of input and planned completed output. The purpose of a project monitoring system is to provide information to stakeholders that can be used to make decisions during the implementation of the project. Then, through brainstorming, groups can identify the possible stakeholders in a project. Among these could be the beneficiaries, the project management staff, regional and national ministry officials, and the donor or financiers. Once this is done, it is important that a clear plan of how to implement monitoring while ensuring maximum benefit is put in place. Characteristics of an excellent monitoring system. Each project is unique. It is therefore suggested that prior to starting off a project, a discussion should ensure to try and identify these. Among them could be simple, quickly provides information for corrective action, cost-effective, flexible, accurate, comprehensive, relevant, accessible, leads to learning, transparency, and shares information up and down. Tools for monitoring. One of the greatest weaknesses of management information is the lack of effective and timely communication of information to the users. Some monitoring staffs often invest too much time and resources in gathering data, which they frequently fail to interpret and present in a form that will convey the meaning of the progress made. These should be avoided if possible. Summary. Monitoring and evaluation, when carried out correctly and at the right time and place, are two of the most important aspects of ensuring the success of many projects. Unfortunately, these two, although known to many project developers, tend to be given little priority, and as a result, they are done simply for the sake of fulfilling the requirements of most funding agencies, without the intention of using them as a mechanism of ensuring the success of their company. No matter how great the talent or the effort, sometimes just take time. Warren Buffett. Thank you once again for following right up to the end.